All right, we are in Algebra 2. Today's date is Monday, May 6, 2019. I'm still slightly getting over my cold. So last Wednesday, we had a lesson on 8-7. 8-7 was graphing exponential functions. Today we're graphing logarithmic functions. The cool thing about today is if you know everything about 8-7, this lesson will be very, very, very easy. Today's the 6th. Alright, so how do I graph this parent function log base 2 of x? And by the way, the same standards from yesterday, graphing logarithmic and exponential functions, showing their features, and identified the effects of doing certain things to our function. So log base 2 is the inverse of what function? Log base 2 is the inverse of what function? Something to the power of x. What to the power of x?
2.
It is 2. So let's go ahead and make this note here. This is the inverse of 2 to the power of x, because it's log base 2. If I did log base 3, it's inverse of 3 to the power of x. If I did log base e of x, which is the natural log, that's the inverse of e to the power of x. So to graph a log function, you basically need to start out by graphing the inverse of that function. Geo, Chris, my voice still kind of hurts. I don't want to talk over you two. So 2 to the power of x, you always will have a point at 0, 1. Right now I'm graphing the inverse. Maybe I should graph that in yellow. What's another point on 2 to the power of x? This is a review from last Wednesday, our last lesson. What is another point on the graph of 2 to the power of x? Plug in a number. Plug in 1 and figure out what the height is. 2. Sure. Let's come back here to Algebra 2.
What about Andrea? Yeah.
Andrea
Answered right?
was correct. And then how many people said the answer?
Me. I think everyone did.
Okay. All right, so again, what does it mean to be an inverse graphically? You just did a Freyer model on this like 2 weeks ago. Opposite what?
I don't know.
You're really close opposites.
Of the ones that are already
Points.
So one way of thinking about it is by doing this. If I make a line,
Okay, last time I answered.
if I make a line right here, this is the line y equals x. Y equals x. If I take the reflection over this line,
Wait, isn't that 1? Nah, I don't know.
yeah, not asymptote yet. If I take the reflection over this line, you can see if I went 1 here, I go 1 here, and my new point is right here at 1, 0. And again, you can think of it.
X's and Y switch.
There it is of it, yeah. So the x's and y's switch. So if I take a look at the x and y intercepts, or not the x and y, technically it is, but if I look at the x and y coordinates, the x and y coordinate here was 0, 1, and this one was 1, 0, which means this one is 1, 2, which turns into 2, 1. 2, 1 is right here. Think of one more point. Technically, we only need 2 points, but think of one more point that was on this graph of 2 to the power of x. Plug in maybe 3, for example, or not 3. Plug in 2. Say it louder. 4, yeah. When I plug in 2, 2 to the power of 2 is 4, which means when I go to 2 for the x, my y value is 4.
Wait, that's how you get your points? You plug it into the inverse of the number?
Yep. I'm plugging in 2. I plugged in 2 inside of this x, and I got out 4, and I graphed 2, 4, 2, 4. And then I'm going to take the inverse of that by reflecting it over here, so it's going to be 4, 2. 4, 2 is right here. No, that's not it. 4, 2 is right there. 4, 2. And you can see that if my old function used to look like this, where I had a vertical asymptote and it went up and up forever, I am now instead going, or this was a horizontal asymptote, sorry. We had a horizontal asymptote. Now I'm going to have a vertical asymptote where my function goes like this.
Like a red one.
All right, so let's write down some points on log base 2. Log base 2 has 1, 0, 2, 1, and 4, 2. Oh, shoot. Okay, there's a teacher error that I forgot to fix.
What?
This should say vertical asymptote right here. Can you cross that off? It shouldn't be horizontal. Both of them should have been changed to vertical. I changed the first one, but not the second one. Where is the vertical asymptote on this parent function? It's at x equals what value, Eva?
Here.
There it is. X equals 0. Which means on my blue function, my blue asymptote is right here. It gets closer and closer to this line. You can see down here, when it gets closer and closer to negative infinity for the y, we get closer and closer to x equals 0. Maybe I should change this color to black so I don't confuse it. All right. You need to ask questions because you're about to do the same thing with log base 3. What was confusing? What do you want me to re-explain? All right, log base 3.
Where's that at?
Log base 3 is the inverse of what?
Log base 2.
Nope. Inverse of 3 to the power of x. Thank you, Eva, again. I didn't give you your last one, so there's the last one. There's this one. That is the inverse of 3 to the power of x, which means I can also get out 3 points. Note that the 3 points that you can get, you're literally plugging something into the y value and getting something out for the x. That's what it means to be an inverse. You're switching the input and output. So if I plug in 0, 2 to the power of 0 was 1. If I plug in 1, 2 to the power of 1 was 2. If I plug in 2, 2 to the power of 2 was 4. So let's choose a nice number for the y for this point. What's a nice number, Chris? Here's a nice number right here.
0.
0. When I plug in 0, 3 to the power of 0, Chris, is
0. 1. Sorry.
1. Thank you, Chris. Someone else, give me another point.
1.
For the x or the y.
The y.
Okay, if the y is 1, then the x is
3.
There it is. Thank you, Gio. Give me another one.
2.
So when I have a y coordinate of 2, let me move this over. When I have a y coordinate of 2, what is my x coordinate?
9. Oh.
There are 3 possible points. By the way, the homework tonight, you will only have log base 2 and log base 3, no other bases. So there are your nice points. All right, let's come down here to the graphical effects. This is very, very similar to last time.
Wait, Mr. Sundown, can you go back?
Yeah. All right, first,
Can I ask you a question off, like not on this topic?
go fast.
What are your favorite lines?
Today,
Yeah.
it depends on how many people we have.
Can we have a study hall?
Probably not.
Probably doesn't.
All right, so graph 2 points on the quiet raised hand. This is literally a review from 8-7. Look back at your notes, 8-7. It's the same words. Say it louder, Eva. Thank you, Eva. All right. The same exact word for 8-7. Gio, Chris, you both lost 10 HP. I've warned you. You can't be off task. I can't yell at you guys. Gio, you're down to 17. Be careful. Chris, you're fine. James can protect and he'll get some XP. Cool. Horizontal translate by the what? Of the constant in the exponent. There it is. Eva's killing it. Eva, try to do it without looking at the notes. All right, so again, what we did was step 1. We graphed log base 2. Step number 2 was we look at the exponent and there should be a number in the exponent. If there's not, then you can just skip the step. So if it says plus 3, you guys, everyone at the same time, is plus 3 to the left or to the right? To the left, because it's always the opposite. Perfect. But this is kind of different. Now that I have a vertical asymptote, that vertical asymptote will move. So we used to move the asymptote in step 5. Now we're moving it in step 2. So move the asymptote. All right. Try doing this without looking at your notes. Quiet raised hand.
Y-axis. Oh, sorry.
Yes, Gio with the quiet raised hand.
Y.
There it is, the y-axis. So if we have a negative x, this is step number 3. If we have a negative x, then we flip over this y-axis right here. Step number 4, quiet raised hand. Multiply the heights. So I'm going to do what? Heights are the x or the y coordinates? James? Y, yes. Height means the y coordinates. So multiply the heights by this thing out here. So whatever number is out front, multiply those heights by that number. And then finally, oh yeah, and that's going to be a reflection over the what axis? The x or the y, quiet raised hand. If I'm going this direction, is that the x or the y direction? This direction. So if I'm multiplying the heights by the y coordinates, I could be reflecting over this axis if that height multiplier was negative. Gio. It's the x-axis. Thank you, Gio. And then finally, step number 5, which is the vertical translate. That is step number 5 out here. All right, so this should seem like it's a lot of review because it really is. Let's try this out. So I'm going to graph this function that I've given to you right now. So first, I'm going to graph log of 2. Tell me what points are on log of 2.
1, 0.
1, 0. 2, 1. And I'm only going to do 2 points because I'm lazy.
Yeah, me too.
Same thing for Khan Academy. I'm only going to do 2 points. Okay. That was step number 1. Step number 2 is what? Quiet raised hand. Quiet raised hand. Andrea.
Move to the left.
Left 3. I'm going to do that in yellow. So left 3.
What's the second?
Oops.
Is this 0?
So that was step number 2. We moved left 3 because we had a plus 3 in the exponent.
But we're even using, what are you using, what numbers are you using?
These. This is the equation right here.
Didn't we already do that one?
We did it, but last time it was 2 to the power of. Now it's log base 2.
What's the difference?
One of them is a log, one of them is an exponential.
What's a log?
The log, the thing that we've been studying for the past month, is the inverse of an exponential. All right, step number 3. Who can do it for us? What am I doing? Reflect over what, Gio? The x-axis. So give me 2 of those points.
I actually don't know.
It's actually not the x-axis, it's the y-axis.
How you know it's the y-axis?
Because I'm on step number 3. If it's a negative x,
Up here?
It's a negative x. Say again?
Never mind. Just kidding.
Dude, you're the one who said it was lying.
So this point right here, everyone is paying attention to the screen. Right, Fiona? Right, Chris? Right, Teflon? Right, James? We're looking up at the screen. This point right here is going to be reflected over the y-axis, and it's going to become over here. I'm moving on to the second graph because otherwise it's going to get messy with me going like this.
Alright, so
And then the next point should be right here. That was step number 3. Thank you, Gio. With a quiet raised hand, who can do the next step?
Chopping out into that,
With a quiet raised hand, how do I do step number 4? James.
2, 1.
So which point are you translating, or I guess flipping? Are you doing the first point or the second point? Okay, this first point had a height of 1, now it has a height of, so it had a height of 1, multiply 1 by this number. What's 1 times negative 4? Okay, so that means we now have a height of negative 4. So it was 1, I'm going to come down here to negative 4. Alright, James, you have to do the next one. It had a height of 0. What's 0 times negative 4? 0 times negative 4 is, which means I have height of, yep. So I'm going to do a black circle to let you know that I'm doing this point for the second time in a row. That's going to be step number 4. And then finally, step number 5, that last step. Step number 5 is to do what? Quiet raised hand. Step number 5. Literally read off step number 5 and then tell me where to go. Fiona. Up 1. There it is. Vertical translate up 1. So I'm going to go up 1, up 1. I ran out of room, so my final answer is here and here. I drew arrows to them. Thank you, Fiona. And let me get James in here as well. All right, but here's the key thing. Where the heck is our vertical asymptote? It used to be, on step 1, it used to be right here.
what? Oh.
It used to be there, but where is it now? Quiet raised hand, Eva. Say it again. You are incorrect. Try again. Try again, Eva, maybe. What step did we do a moving of the asymptote? Yep, on step 2.
Oh, do we have to move the asymptote to the left to the end back? So we'd be on the
Just left 3. That's it.
just left 3.
Left 3, and then, oh, then we have to reflect it, don't we? So this asymptote can get reflected as well. So on step number 2, let me draw out what happened. Our asymptote moved left 3. Our asymptote was right here on step number 1. On step number 2, on step number 2, it moved left 3. So our asymptote was right here. But then on step number 3, it got reflected. So our asymptote is at positive 3. You're right.
Is this enough? Is this going to be in the final?
Yes.
Why do you have to pick the hardest thing? I don't even know what this is.
The more and more you practice it, the more you'll get it.
I still don't even know what a log is.
Oh my god.
So that's really bad, Chris. I'll have to come talk to you later.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing.
Oh, no wonder.
That's bad.
Okay, if I connect the dots here, you'll see that the dots go like this. I get closer and closer to this asymptote. I come through this point, and some other points, and it goes off in this direction and this direction. That is how to graph our function. We'll try one more example. Would you prefer an example that is written down or one that's on Khan Academy? All right, we're skipping example number 1 on the back. We're going to Khan Academy.
There's 3 examples.
All right,
Wait, why don't you just do the example?
No, you
because everyone voted for Khan Academy. If my computer would load, it's frozen, it's thinking, it's thinking.
can't see.
All right, give me a sec, guys. I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's lagging super hardcore.
You need your computer.
Ah, why? It opens it up and then it closes it. Okay. All right, here we go. We are all paying attention, right? All right, here's one where I'm going to be following around a point. So I'm going to choose the easiest point possible, 0, 1. It's right here. Does everyone follow?
Yeah.
0, 1. What's going to happen to it first? This number 4 means I'm going to go left 4 or right 4? Left 4. So I'm now at -3. But I have a negative x, which means what? All right. 4. 4 means left 4. Right?
Yes.
Chris, I'm waiting for you. Until you give me the thumbs up, I'm not going to move on. Positive 4 means left 4. If I'm at this point, I'm now right here.
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I have a negative x, which means what, Chris?
You're going up.
No.
You're going across there.
Across what?
To the right.
What does that mean?
I don't even
Use your knowledge. Look at your notes.
Oh,
There's
you're
a
going-
word
you're going
called
over the- You're going
reflect.
over the y-axis.
Reflect over the y-axis. If I'm here at -3, it's now at +3. And then the last thing, everyone, -2. I had a height of 0. 0 times -2 is
0.
0, which means I should have a point that goes through 3, 0. Let's see. This has 3, 0. This does not.
Wait, why is
This does not. This does not. There's the answer.
Let me just know why is it 3? Dude, I
Once
only
again.
see 2 there.
Once again,
Alright.
I'm at 1, 0.
Oh, wait, gotcha. Sorry.
By the way, sometimes there will be a graph that has 2 answers, and then you have to follow a second point around. A second point that I could follow is 2, 1. This point right here. Anyway, let's go on to one where I have to actually graph. All right, is it a log or an exponential? Which one am I?
A log.
I'm going to choose the log option. All right, it's log base 2. Give me 2 points on log base 2.
So
0, 1, or 1, 0, and
2,
2 0. 2 1.
2, 1. Okay, so far so good. That is the parent function. Let's do step 1. Plus 6. Left 6. All right, I went left 6. Thanks. Chris, if you lean back anymore, I'm just going to give you a referral. Stop it. That's the second time this month.
I didn't fall.
Do I have a negative x?
No.
So don't worry about that step. All the heights get multiplied by 4. So this height was 1, now it's up to 4. This height was 0, now it's up to 0. Finally, what do I do?
Oh.
Go down 8 times.
Down 8. If I was here at 0, I have negative 8. If I was here at 4, I go down to negative 4. Last thing, I need to move my asymptote. Where does this asymptote go?
Left 6.
There it is. There's the answer.
What
No, it's not. Oh, did I move this off? Yeah. All right, ask me questions. All right, let's try it out then.
Wait, I have a question.
Okay, your question.
How does this help me in life?
Being able to logically apply operations.
What kind of?
Can we do another example?
Yeah.
Do you want to do a following example like this or a different one?
Can we do the one where you said you have to like move it twice, like both points? Maybe like you said there was one that's gonna like.
It might be this one. Let's try it out. All right, what point am I to follow around? I'm going to follow around 1, 0. 1, 0. Moves left or right 2?
Left.
Left 2. So I'm now right here. Next.
Multiply by three. Divide by three.
Nope.
Just kidding.
I have a negative x.
Oh, you go switch over the y. Exactly.
So I'm back to where I started. Okay, next.
Now you multiply by three.
Now I multiply by 3, and
This is 0.
so it's something that goes through 1, 0. This first option goes through 1, 0. This does not. This does not. This does. So it's between A and D. Now I have to choose a second point to follow around.
Now you got a 50-50 shot.
And what are the differences between A and D?
One's
Negative.
log.
One's log and one's exponential.
That's kind of what it looks like to me too. Actually, no, they're both log. Let's just choose a second point to follow around. 2, 1, yeah? This point that I'm hovering over. 2, 1. What do I do first?
Go
Left 2. Left 2.
Left 2. So it's right here now.
And then.
You.
You guys want to go?
Negative x means,
You flip over the x-axis. You go back.
no, it stays right on this y-axis. If it's on the y-axis and I reflect over the y-axis, it's still on the y-axis.
Oh, so then you multiply by 3.
Then multiply by 3. It was 1, now it's up to
Wait, 3.
3.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
No.
I'm looking for something that goes through 0, 3.
Hey.
Yeah, it's not.
Not D.
Woo.
What's it?
I can do this one again really quickly. This is going to be log base 3, which means I'm going to have these starting positions where I go 1, 0 and 3, 1.
Okay.
All right. 2 means what?
Go left.
Go left.
Left 2. So I'm going to move everything left 2. I'm just going to do it all at the same time. This asymptote goes left 2. This point goes left 2. This point goes left 2. Okay, next.
Flip
You
it over
flip
the
it.
x-axis.
So this was at 2, negative 2. Now it's at positive 2. This was at 1. Now it's over here. I have to switch these two essentially.
Yeah, this is not right.
Multiply your height by 3.
Multiply the height by 3. This was 1. Now it's up to 3. Anything else?
Nope. Wow.
All right. I think you guys are ready to go. I'll be around to help.